Welcome to another captivating episode of Raw Momversations,
where fearless moms and experts unite to explore alternative practices. Hey there, I'm Ally.
And I'm Melania. Our mission is to empower your one-of-a-kind parenting journey. Join us as we explore unconventional birthing and parenting methods.
Get ready for inspiration, authentic stories, and unwavering family love.
Together, we're rewriting our rules of parenting one bold step at a time.
So without further ado, let's kick off this empowering momversation.
Raw Momversations, where fearless motherhood leads the way. It's our first podcast. How are you feeling?
I feel good. I'm a little nervous. You?
I'm scared, but in a good way, in the sense of this is meaningful to you and I.
Yeah, big time.
I think we want to get it right.
Yes.
It's just in our nature.
Yeah. We are both perfectionists.
Yeah.
In our own crazy little ways.
But we're so invested in everything that we're going to talk about.
So invested. We're both moms.
Yeah.
We've both been through different journeys through our birthing experiences. I feel like we've learned a lot from each other and our stories and our adventures with our kids.
Yeah. Well, you're my go-to person whenever there's something.
But you're also my go-to person. I feel like we're each other's Googles.
Yeah. Less scary than when you're searching something on Google.
Exactly.
And I think that this is a good kickstart to all of our podcasts and what we're going to be talking about today.
Yeah. Fears of when you see that plus sign for the first time. Like, holy cow. Whether you've been trying forever or it's your first time trying and you end up pregnant, lucky you, I have to say.
Right.
I mean, like, you get this rush of I don't know how to even say it. This I feel like a list of questions runs through your mind in the beginning, right?
I know. It's like the moment you see it and okay, it's happening.
It's go time. Yeah. Were you afraid when you saw it?
Was I afraid? Yes, but only because my first time ever seeing the positive translated into a miscarriage afterwards. So then I think seeing a positive sign the second time around was fear in the sense of knowing you can experience loss.
Same, exact same experience. I mean, I think even before that, I had this fear of even getting pregnant. Is it going to happen? Is it not? My husband and I, we ended up pregnant our first try on our honeymoon. But there was something in me that said, I don't know, for some reason, my gut said, this is too good to be true. I don't know why. I just had this feeling. And then sure enough, we had an ultrasound and 8 weeks, saw a heartbeat. And then at week 10, it was gone. Every test you have after that, it's like this, I don't know, it comes with a whole other fear,
right.
But I mean, that's something we can get into eventually, because today we're talking about the fear of actually giving birth.
Right.
And everything that comes with.
And did you have any fears aside from what we just talked about?
I think it would be more the fear of not what to expect, because I dug deep and really did my homework on everything. I know you went into it a little differently, as in, ignorance is bliss and we'll see what happens. I think because I don't know, I just have this control I need in every aspect of my life, that my fear was, complications that someone's mistake that I wasn't in control of, the doctor was going to make a mistake. That was, I think, my biggest fear.
I had zero fears.
That's crazy.
Like you said, I went into it completely ignorance is bliss.
Yeah.
And I feel now, after my experience, I'm going with fears into if I ever have a second child, but completely had zero thoughts, scares, which is crazy because I feel like I'm an anxious person.
Yeah.
But pregnancy was probably one of the most beautiful times of my life.
I agree. I think it's so magical, and I only wish for everyone to experience that at least once in their life. So you went in with no fears, but once you were there, did you have any?
I think the point in time where I started to have fears was, something I probably should have asked more questions about is, at what point do students or people who are not your doctor who are delivering your baby come in? And it was from the very start.
Yeah.
And when they weren't utilizing their tools perfectly. And I was like, okay, so this is how invasive it's going to be. That's when I started to get scared.
I remember you texted me and you were like, I feel like I'm on an episode of Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah.
And I just visualized like 25 doctors in their like white, robes standing in front of you and just each taking a turn. And
no, that's what happened. Even when the doctor came in, he asked the three of them, he's like, how many of you think she's in labor? 2 said no, and only 1 said yes.
But you were in labor.
Yeah, I was 7 centimeters dilated.
I'm all for like students being there, but part of my birth plan was I want 0 students in my room. And I think that's from learning from your experience. Like, get out. No one's learning on this birth.
Right. I didn't even know you could have a birth plan. Another thing we're going to talk about. Like, there are so many interesting avenues that we're going to take with this podcast.
Oh my God, yeah. We're going to have a doula, midwife, real mom stories, moms who've given birth in a hospital and in a birthing center. Eventually we'd like to talk to someone who gave birth at home. So much. I'm so excited.
The world is our oyster.
The world is our oyster.
So let's get into it.
Yeah. So you know how I love to do these Instagram polls?
Yes.
So I did one, do you have a fear of birth or did you prior to your pregnancy? And 61% was the average that said, yes, I had a fear of birth. That's a lot.
Yeah.
I think everyone to some extent. I'm actually surprised it wasn't a little bit more, but still it's quite significant. And when I asked, what did you fear most? 21% said pain in the unknown. 18% said complications of losing control, 3% said medical intervention, and 58% said all of the above. So I think it's quite a huge melange of, everything, but mainly the unknown.
Right.
Top 3 fears. Do you want to know what they are?
Yes, I do.
Well, the first fear is the unknowns and uncertainty. The second one is loss of control and fear of complications or interventions. And the third one is pain and intensity, which I think you mentioned is now your fear going into it.
Now.
Yeah.
Now I fear. It's so funny because I didn't even know what a contraction was going to feel like.
Yeah.
Had no preparation.
Crazy.
Now I do. So now knowing that, definitely fear the pain.
Yeah. And you had back contractions, which is something I'm sure most people don't even know you can have.
No.
All right. So let's tackle the first one.
Yeah.
Fear of the unknown. I mean, you see that plus sign and now it's like, okay, what now? What's labor? What's a hospital?
You know what? It's funny you say that, but I feel like initial thoughts tend to be like, okay, which room is the nursery?
Yeah.
What are we choosing as decor?
It's so true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My thought didn't even go. I started to think about the hospital once your doctor says that you have to go and start your profile and do all of your blood tests. And then you get introduced to everything and you start to see
how overwhelming it can be.
But I feel like until you get to the hospital and find out everything.
Yeah. You don't know anything.
No. It's the room.
Yeah. What color is it going to be? Are you having a boy or girl? Because you don't know at that time.
Right. And this is also our first.
Yeah.
With the firsts.
Yeah, exactly. So childbirth, what do you feel is something that can, help someone get through this like fear of the unknowns and what to expect?
Probably what I didn't do and maybe take some classes.
Yeah. They have amazing birthing courses online. What I did is I hired a doula. Best thing I ever did. She changed my life. She opened up my eyes to basically what's going to happen the second you walk into the hospital, right? Because everyone thinks, your contractions are going to start and then you're just going to stroll in and they're going to welcome you with a red carpet. And the reality is you're going to get there. They're going to be probably full, annoyed. It's a full moon. It's always a full moon every time you get to a hospital. Did you notice that?
No, I didn't.
Oh my God.
Didn't
Everyone's
even know
like, it was a full moon. It's not as smooth and romantic movie when you walk in. It's stressful if you don't know what's to come.
Right.
So just understanding like what's to come when you enter the hospital, what your stages of labor are, because a lot of people end up going to the hospital way too early and you can be in the comfort of your own home.
Right. Had no idea that they even send women back.
Yeah. No, I know a few people who have gone back and forth like 3 times.
Yeah.
And they're like, you're not ready. Go back home.
No, but I'm so excited when we talk to your doula. I didn't have one, so it's going to be so interesting to rack her brain.
Exactly. Also, I feel just getting into the right mindset can help.
Probably watching videos.
Yeah, watch a real birth. Did you ever watch one?
No.
Oh my God. I went on this like phase of like just watching them for like a week straight.
Which probably helps rip the Band-Aid off.
It does.
But I was too terrified that then I was going to know what it was going to look like. And I was just going to have the image in my head.
Well, you know, Hollywood portrays these births as like so extreme, painful, and you see the woman screaming and,
right,
you know, yelling at her husband. And the reality is they're not like that. And there's so many, you know, beautiful parts of it that they don't even show in your birthing experience. So just watch a few of them. Watch them with your partner, your husband, your boyfriend, and that'll open your eyes a little bit.
Sure will. Probably for your partner too.
I mean, these days Instagram doesn't even like blur things out anymore. You can see everything. It's something you don't want to see, but you can't take your eyes off.
Right.
You know? So yeah.
Okay, let's get into the second one.
Yeah, let's do it.
Loss of control.
Mm-hmm.
Fear of complications.
Yeah. This, I think, resonates with me because I'm such a control freak, and also the complications that will be at fault of someone else. You know?
Right.
So it's a tough one. I think the best thing you can do in this point is really know, like, knowledge is power. I feel if you do not know your options, you're not going to have any. Being able to voice exactly what you want to happen in that labor room, which, you know, comes back down to, I think, having a birth plan, which we will do a whole episode about.
Right.
But I just think so many people say, oh, don't bother making a birth plan because it's not going to go as planned. But it's not so much about that. It's just about your wants and your desires and the way you want this to go.
Right.
You know, you're already so vulnerable. You're being thrown into this like situation where you're in a vulnerable position. You're in a gown, half naked, lying horizontally where everyone else is fully clothed and standing around you vertically. So that just puts you in a position of no power, no control.
No, it's probably like a security blanket.
Yeah.
Despite how much pain you might be in, if you're not thinking, you're just focused on breathing. And then you know that you still have your guidelines for other people to follow, which probably removes so much stress and anxiety for you.
Exactly. And I feel like when you have those guidelines and when you communicate that very clearly to the staff, whether you're in a birthing center, in a hospital, I think it's so important to just have your voice and say exactly what you want. But in order to have a voice, you have to know, you have to speak their language, you know? So if the doctor runs in and says, oh, well, we're going to induce you and we're going to up your Pitocin and XYZ, and you're just going to say,
okay.
Okay, because you probably don't know what Pitocin is, or this is the first time you hear of it. But if you do your homework, you've researched it, you know exactly what it is. When the doctor comes running in and says, well, we're going to induce you right now, you're going to say, wait a minute, why? You know, and I think that communication and taking the time to think about what you want and communicate that, you will have that sense of control in that room, as opposed to just letting it all happen and then it ends up being a birth that you didn't even want in the end.
Right. 100%. Should we go into the third fear in terms of pain, which is probably what links more to me?
Pain.
Number
no
one.
Pain, no gain.
Right? I mean, I don't know why we think labor is going to be a luxury.
I don't know why people think that too, right? I gave birth in a hospital the first time, and this time around,
I don't know if we mentioned. Did we say you're pregnant?
No. Oh yeah, guys, I'm almost 6 months pregnant. If you are watching this, you can see. If not, well, I am. And this time I decided to go with a midwife and a birthing center, which you'll find out the whole reason, but with my experience, I decided to swap over. When I tell people that I'm with a midwife and I'm not giving birth in a hospital and there's no option for epidural, people look at me like I'm crazy. You know, like, well, you know it's painful. I'm like, yeah, I know it's painful. Like, I'm ready for that. Like, I am mentally embracing and getting ready for that. I have like 9 months. I have been preparing mentally for this since the day I got pregnant. I said, this is what I want. and I'm getting ready for first thing people tell you, which is negative, you know, oh, well, it's painful.
I know you're constantly defending yourself.
Constantly.
Or explaining your reasoning for things. But truly, I think the first time around, I went into it thinking, this child is going to be around my entire life.
Mm-hmm.
And if I can have those couple of hours before they enter my life kind of be pain-free.
Yeah.
Was kind of
the way you went into it.
Yeah. And I had also assumed, we'll probably talk about this with our pelvic floor therapist, but on average you push for an hour and 30 minutes, right? So I assumed sleeping and getting rest and not feeling anything might be the best sort of fuel prior to.
And did you sleep and get rest?
I did sleep.
Nice.
I did sleep. But now, upon our research of epidurals and understanding to accept the pain, and it just comes with the beauty of labor.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. I mean, everyone's all about girl power and girl boss. What about like mama boss? You know, like let's bring that back. Women have been doing it for thousands of years, giving birth without epidural. We've been programmed to believe this is what you need. If you do not get one, you are going to die, die of pain. But the truth is, sometimes these epidurals don't work. I mean, no judgment whether you want one or don't want one.
Right.
And I'm not going to be a hero. If I'm going into this and I'm like, holy shit, I cannot handle this, then the midwife will be like, all right, let's go to the hospital, get you an epidural. I'm not trying to be a hero, but my goal is to do it 100% naturally. These epidurals sometimes don't work. They
freeze you in one area, but you feel it completely.
Yeah. I'm no doctor. I don't know exactly how they work or why they don't work, but you hear a lot of these stories of like, oh, I got it too late and I pushed and I felt everything anyway, or it paralyzed my left leg, or,
right.
So you need a backup plan for pain management. And yeah, I mean, look into that.
I mean, you learned a lot of those techniques with your doula.
Yes. There's acupressure, points that your partner can do for you. You can take a hot shower or a hot bath. Most hospital rooms are equipped with that. Just having the freedom to walk around changes everything. Typically you walk in and they're like, oh, we're going to strap you to the bed. We're going to monitor you 24/7. And it really like paralyzes you in terms of like what you can do. Sitting on a ball and like just bouncing around the room, I found helped me so much.
Right. But I think suffice to say that this is all of these things that we're talking about, we're going to individualize in every other episode.
Definitely.
And this is just the starting liftoff.
This is just liftoff.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the beginning of a beautiful, this is our plus sign.
It is.
It is.
Wow. I love that.
This is our plus sign. And instead of picking the color of the nursery, we're going to pick our logo.
So in love. And this is so exciting.
So yeah, all this to say is birthing and giving birth and your pregnancy, it's a beautiful experience. We want you to go into it feeling empowered and excited. I went into my birth excited. I was like ready for what's to come, even though I had a birth plan. And if it didn't go as planned, I was okay with it because I was mentally in the right place to give birth to this beautiful little angel. And it's so temporary. Like you hear everyone say like, oh, you forget about it when it's done. And you do.
You totally do.
It is something crazy to experience. And, why wouldn't you want to feel that? I mean, it's such a magical moment. And at the end of the day, if you take the time, do your homework, learn some birthing techniques. Oh, something we didn't mention, but like people are always afraid of what's going to happen to their bodies, whether they're going to tear or not. But,
right.
Someone like a pelvic floor specialist can definitely help in that department, which we'll have a whole segment on.
I can't wait.
Yeah, it's so good.
She was so interesting. I had no idea even this existed prior to.
No, I know. And she like changed both of our lives.
100%.
Yeah.
I think also getting us into the proper mindset and visualization of what's actually to come, but it be a positive experience and a comfy environment, cozy environment, loving environment. And I think that that's what you and I want to create together with this podcast. And I'm so excited to be doing this with you. Aww. I hope that everyone in their life has a person that's their that they just kind of feed off and go off of each other. And we've had each other as a support. And I think that this is what we want to do for everybody listening.
Yeah, we want to be that support for everyone out there who maybe doesn't have that super strong support system. So yeah, I love you, and I'm so happy to be doing this with you too. Thank you for everyone who listened and took the time. You know, you'll get to know us, and hopefully you have a great time with us.
Let's do this.
Let's do this. Raw conversations.
Where fearless motherhood leads the way.